Every dream has a middle, the part where excitement fades, progress slows, and quitting looks reasonable. That's the danger zone, the quiet temptation to stop halfway. But those who endure that middle earn what others only imagine. Everyone starts strong. At the beginning, hope is loud and energy is high. The vision feels close enough to touch, and effort feels easy. But as days turn into weeks and weeks into months, the distance between where you are and where you want to be begins to feel endless. The enthusiasm that once carried you forward begins to fade, replaced by doubt, fatigue, and the whispering voice that says, "Maybe it's not meant to be." That voice has ended more dreams than failure ever did. It tells you that your effort isn't worth it, that the world isn't changing fast enough, that success is reserved for someone else. And most people believe it. They stop right there, not because they are incapable, but because they mistake difficulty for impossibility. The hardest part of the journey is almost always just before the breakthrough. When your strength feels empty, when your patience runs thin, when results refuse to show, that is when the test of endurance begins. The finish line is often just beyond the point where most people give up. You will never know how close you were unless you take one more step. Every success story, every inventor, writer, athlete, entrepreneur, artist, builder, dreamer has faced that moment. The moment when continuing makes no sense, when effort feels wasted, when progress seems invisible. And yet, they moved anyway. Not because they had proof it would work, but because they refused to let fatigue make their decisions for them. Endurance is not the absence of exhaustion. It is the decision to keep moving in spite of it. The people who build extraordinary lives are not stronger than everyone else. They simply decided to finish what they started. They understood that every dream demands a toll, the toll of patience, persistence, and faith. You see, every goal has a hidden wall, that invisible line between almost and achieved. You won't see it when you're near it. It doesn't announce itself. It looks just like every other day of effort, repetition, and frustration. But once you cross it, once you hold the line one more day, one more hour, one more try, everything begins to shift. Most people never reach that point, not because they lack talent or opportunity, but because they stop one day too soon. The truth is, success rarely announces itself in the moment. It whispers from the other side of persistence. When you quit, you don't just lose what you were working for. You lose the person you were becoming by working for it. Because the goal changes you. Every trial, every repetition, every failure was shaping something inside you. A patience, a focus, a quiet strength. And when you give up too soon, you interrupt that becoming. So if you're in that middle right now, the uncertain, weary middle, remember this. Every person who has ever achieved something worthwhile once stood exactly where you are. They faced the same silence, the same doubt, the same endless stretch of effort without visible reward. But they stayed. And because they stayed, life eventually yielded. Hold the line one more day, because the difference between almost and achieved might just be a single step. Why most people give up right before the breakthrough. There's an invisible moment in every pursuit when progress feels impossible. You've given everything you have, yet nothing seems to move. You can't see the finish line, and the silence after so much effort begins to feel like failure. That's where most people turn back, not because they lack talent, but because they don't recognize where they are. They're standing right next to the turning point. Most people quit not at the beginning, not at the end, but right in the middle, when the distance behind them feels too far to retreat and the distance ahead feels too far to reach. They are caught in the tension between fatigue and faith. It's human nature to crave signs of progress. We want proof that our effort matters, visible confirmation that something is working. But growth doesn't always make noise. Sometimes the roots are growing long before the tree appears. Sometimes the foundation is being built where no one can see it, including you. But when you don't understand that, the silence feels like punishment, and in that silence, the mind begins to play tricks. Maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I've wasted my time. Maybe I should have chosen something easier. That's the moment the majority surrender, not because the dream was too far, but because their patience was too short. Progress rarely looks like progress while you're living it. It looks like repetition, boredom, failure, and waiting. The people who break through are not the ones who feel confident every day. They are the ones who show up even on the days they don't. Every breakthrough sits behind a wall of doubt. But here's what most people forget. Doubt is not a stop sign. It's a signal that you're getting close to something new. You're stretching into territory your old self has never known. That's what growth feels like. Uncertainty, resistance, fear. And if you can endure that discomfort, you discover something remarkable. The struggle is not proof that you're failing. It's proof that you're transforming. Every person who quit one step too soon has the same story. They mistook exhaustion for the end. They thought the pain meant stop instead of push. They turned back just before the ground beneath them was about to shift, and life, in its quiet way, rewards those who stay just a little longer, not because it plays favorites, but because it honors endurance. The great irony is that the moment you are most tempted to quit is often the very moment the tide is about to turn. When everything in you says, it's useless, that's when your persistence matters most. That's when the unseen forces, timing, opportunity, preparation, are aligning behind the scenes, waiting for you to hold on long enough for them to meet you. So before you walk away, remember this. The distance between your current struggle and your future success is often invisible. You cannot see how close you are, but you are close. And the only way to find out how close is to take one more step. How persistence separates success from regret. Persistence is the quiet bridge between desire and destiny. It is not dramatic. It is not exciting. It rarely feels heroic in the moment. It feels like repetition, long days, heavy effort, and 1,000 small actions that no one sees. But persistence is the one habit that separates those who finish from those who almost did. The world remembers the results, not the waiting. But behind every overnight success are years of unseen effort. Mornings where the mind said no, but the will said yes. Nights spent questioning, doubting, yet still continuing. Most people want achievement without the ache, growth without the grind, arrival without the road. But that's not how life works. The process is the price of the prize. Persistence demands patience, and patience demands faith, because you will not always see immediate results. In fact, sometimes you'll see nothing at all, and in that emptiness, the weak give up. But the strong understand that the harvest always comes after the season of waiting. You cannot rush the unfolding of greatness. Every step matters, even the ones that feel meaningless. A sculptor does not abandon his work because the first few strikes don't reveal the masterpiece. He knows the form is hidden beneath the stone, waiting for enough persistence to bring it out. So it is with you. Persistence is not just about time. It's about trust, the trust that every small action, however ordinary, is adding up to something extraordinary. Those who persist do not need immediate applause. They are sustained by a deeper belief that what they are doing means something, that what they are building will stand, and that belief is what separates success from regret. Regret belongs to those who stopped when it got hard. Regret belongs to those who said, "I'll try again later," and never did. Regret belongs to those who wanted the result, but refused the repetition. Success belongs to the persistent, not necessarily the most gifted, not even the most intelligent, but the ones who stayed when others left. Persistence is power, because persistence builds character, and character sustains success long after the first victory fades. Without persistence, you may win once and lose forever. With it, you may lose 100 times and still end up victorious. Every dream you hold will test your endurance. It will ask, can you keep going when no one is watching? Can you keep believing when no one is clapping? Can you hold your vision when all evidence says otherwise? If you can answer yes, not with words but with action, you will rise, not because you are lucky, but because you are loyal to your purpose. There will always be two types of people, those who stop when the pain starts, and those who push until the pain turns into progress. One ends up with regret, the other with a life that mattered. Because in the end, persistence doesn't just lead to success, it becomes it. The hidden psychology of one more try. There's a strange magic in the phrase, "one more try." It sounds small, almost ordinary, but those 3 words have built empires, saved lives, and resurrected dreams. Because when everything in you says, "I'm done," and you whisper, "just one more," something changes inside you. You stop living from emotion and start living from decision. And that shift, from feeling to principle, is where real strength begins. Most people don't fail from lack of ability. They fail from exhaustion of spirit. They confuse being tired with being finished, but you are never finished until you stop trying. When you choose to try once more, even when you don't feel like it, you train your mind to lead, not follow. You remind yourself that emotion is a passenger, not the driver. That's the secret psychology of perseverance. Each time you continue through resistance, you become someone who can no longer be stopped by it. Your mind begins to learn a new rule, that difficulty is not danger, that fatigue is not failure, that effort is not punishment but preparation. Every one more try rewires your identity. It tells you, "I am the kind of person who doesn't quit." And once you believe that, truly believe it, you start moving through life differently. You stop looking for easy paths because you know you can handle the hard ones. You stop chasing comfort because you've learned that growth only comes from challenge. You stop asking, "How long will it take?" and start asking, "How far can I go?" And that shift, subtle but profound, changes everything. There is a quiet power in repetition. Each day you show up, you cast a vote for the person you want to become. One missed day doesn't break you, and one great day doesn't make you. It's the accumulation of small efforts that builds an unshakable foundation. Every master, every creator, every pioneer you've ever admired lived by those same 3 words, "one more try." They weren't fearless, they weren't invincible, they simply refused to let yesterday decide today. You see, effort compounds. One more try may not look like much, but it keeps you in motion, and motion invites momentum. And once momentum takes hold, even the smallest step begins to carry you further than you imagined. But you'll never feel that lift if you stop moving. The mind will always try to negotiate with you. It will whisper that it's too late, too hard, too slow. But every time you answer that whisper with action, you weaken its hold, and eventually that voice fades altogether. Discipline silences doubt. Action quiets fear. Effort cures hesitation. One more try is not just about finishing what you started, it's about proving to yourself that you can, because if you can do it once, you can do it again. And if you can do it again, there's no limit to how far you can go. So the next time the voice of defeat tells you to stop, don't argue, don't explain, don't think twice. Just take a breath, square your shoulders, and say quietly, "One more try." That is the moment everything begins to turn. Why patience is a form of power. Patience is often misunderstood. People think it means waiting quietly, doing nothing, or enduring without protest. But true patience is not passive. It is power under control. Patience is what gives your persistence direction. Without it, energy burns out. With it, energy compounds. In every pursuit, there comes a time when speed stops helping you. When all the rushing, all the forcing, all the pushing simply doesn't work. And that's where patience takes over, not as a sign of weakness, but as a mark of mastery. Because patience is not the absence of action, it is the discipline of timing. It's knowing when to press forward and when to pause, when to rest your hands but not your heart, when to let the work you've already done start working for you. Nature teaches this better than any philosophy. The farmer doesn't dig up his field every morning to check if the seeds have grown. He waters, he waits, he trusts. He knows that growth takes place in silence and time. So it is with your dreams. The results you crave are growing underground, in ways you cannot yet see. But if you lose patience, if you walk away, you interrupt the process right before the harvest. Impatience is a form of fear. The fear that things won't happen unless you control every step. Patience, on the other hand, is confidence. The confidence that what you've built will stand when the time is right. Every person who achieved something extraordinary carried this quiet strength. They waited without surrendering. They held faith through the invisible season. They trusted the process, even when progress hid its face. Patience does not mean lack of ambition. It means you've learned the rhythm of growth. It means you understand that rushing will not speed it, it will only break it. Those who master patience gain a power others never touch, the power of endurance with peace, the ability to keep moving without panic, to wait without wasting energy on worry, to act with calm instead of desperation. You can always tell the difference between someone who is impatient and someone who is patient. The impatient one looks restless. Their confidence depends on results. The patient one looks steady. Their confidence depends on their faith. And life, in time, always bows to the steady. When others quit because they don't see results, the patient remain, and the world eventually bends to meet their consistency. Patience is the stillness before victory. It's the unshakable belief that the tide will turn, and that your job is simply to hold position until it does. Those who learn to wait without losing their work, their will, or their wonder, they are the ones who end up with everything time has to offer. How to keep faith when results haven't yet appeared. There is a point in every journey when you've done all you can, and still, nothing seems to move. You've given effort, time, sacrifice, discipline, and yet the results remain hidden. That's the moment when most people lose faith. But real faith is in the silence between effort and evidence. Anyone can believe when the reward is visible, but it takes strength to believe when all you have is the echo of your own effort. That's the test every great dream will give you. It asks, can you trust the process when you can't see the progress? Faith is not a feeling. It is a decision to keep showing up when the outcome is still invisible. It's saying, even if I can't see it yet, I know my work means something. You see, the universe, life, time, destiny, whatever name you give it, does not ignore effort. It simply tests it. It delays the visible to strengthen the invisible, the inner qualities that must exist before success can last: patience, humility, endurance, and faith itself. That's why you often feel the most resistance right before something shifts, because you're being prepared, not punished. You're being refined, not refused. Think of the blacksmith and the blade, the heat, the hammer, the shaping. The metal doesn't see its final form until it's endured enough fire to be strong enough to hold it. Faith is trusting that the heat has purpose. When you're in that waiting period, remember this: you are not standing still. You are growing roots. You are developing depth, resilience, and strength that you'll need once the results finally arrive. You cannot skip this stage. If you do, your success will collapse under the weight of what you haven't become yet. That's why faith is not just belief, it's preparation. When you keep working without reward, you are proving to life that you are ready for responsibility, not just recognition. So when the results haven't shown up, keep doing the work. Not because you're guaranteed success, but because the work itself is what shapes you. Faith says, I'll keep going, not because I see the reward, but because I see who I become while pursuing it. Remember, a dream does not die when it's delayed. It dies when you stop believing in it. Every day you choose faith over frustration, you're watering that dream, even if you can't see the bloom yet. And when it finally blossoms, you'll look back and realize that the waiting was never wasted. It was the most important part, because faith is what keeps the bridge standing when the evidence has not yet crossed it. Hold that faith. Keep walking. Your results are already on their way. They're just waiting for you to still be there when they arrive. So there comes a moment in every life when quitting looks reasonable, when the weight feels heavier than the dream. But what most never realize is this: the pain of staying the course is temporary. The pain of giving up too soon lasts forever. The moment you stop, all your effort turns into almost finished, almost made it, almost lived the life you were capable of. And almost is the quietest kind of heartbreak, the kind that whispers, you were closer than you knew. Every great victory hides behind that moment of near surrender. If you can endure that, the fatigue, the doubt, the silence, you'll reach what most never do. You'll discover that success doesn't belong to the talented, or the lucky, or even the bold. It belongs to those who simply stayed when others stopped. So hold the line a little longer. Give it one more try, because somewhere just beyond this very moment lies the turning point you've been waiting for. The difference between almost and achieved is often just one more step. And if you ever wonder what happens when you give up one step too soon, the answer is simple. You'll never know how close you were.